The goal of life is to realize ourselves, the deeper self, to become who we are. And we've seen already how dreams, projections, our longings, these can help us to come into further knowledge of what's in our deeper self and to bring it to fruition. Another way of coming to realize what's in our deepest self is synchronicity. Jung describes synchronicity as two events coming together non-causally, somewhat coincidentally, but in a meaningful way. And I'll give you an example in a minute. But first of all, I wanted to explain that idea of non-causally. We know of two events that can be causal. For example, I clap my hands, they caused a sound just to happen. That was a causal event. But there are non-causal events. And Jung gives a beautiful example in one of his client's dreams. This client, a young woman, was coming to him for therapy. And she was a very rational person, very intellectual, well-educated, not in touch at all with her feelings. And Jung felt that, whatever he was doing was not helping her to come in touch with her feeling side. She was staying mainly in her head. And she brought a dream one day of having dreamt about a scarab, a beetle, a golden scarab, which was sacred in the Egyptian tradition. And as she was describing her dream to him, he was sitting in his chair in front of a window, and they could hear this sound. And it was something tapping at the window. And he looked around, and there was this little beetle hitting against the window as if it wanted to come in. So he actually opened the window and got the little beetle. It was an iridescent one, looked somewhat golden in certain aspects of the sunlight. And Jung said to the young woman, "Here's your scarab." And her therapy changed after that. He said that she really got in touch with her feelings. It was a pivotal moment. Well, that's a moment of synchronicity in his mind. Two events coming together in a non-causal way, but a very meaningful way. One that I'll share from my own experience is I recently went to a car dealership to get my car serviced, and I saw there a woman that I know really well whose husband has dementia. And then a couple of weeks later, I saw her again at the lab at the hospital where I was going for some blood work to get done. And she was in the lab at the same time. 2 times seeing her in, random kind of ways caused me to think, well, why am I seeing her in such close proximity, the time in such close proximity? And caused me to think, well, I need to be a little more supportive to her about her husband who has dementia, and he's close enough for me to go visit. So it was a prompting for me to be aware of that aspect of myself, my deeper self, to be generous and to be a friend to this woman in her time of need. So that's one example of synchronicity. There are many others that I could go into in my own life. But be on the watch for events in your life that may seem random, but see what meaning might come up for you if you ponder them. Let them live within you a little bit and, live with them and see if a meaning comes to you.